B-Side Channel presents Savage Trafficking, the global crime that threatens nature. Wildlife trafficking is not just a crime against animals, but a global threat that affects ecosystems, economies, and communities around the world. Today, we speak to those on the front lines of this silent battle. Nature has always been home to millions of species, but today, it faces a new threat: wildlife trafficking. From majestic elephants in Africa to sea creatures in the depths of the oceans, no species is safe from this billion-dollar global crime.
In the African savanna, elephant ivory and rhino horns are seen as valuable treasures on the black market. But this greed comes with a price. Entire populations are disappearing. Forest rangers fight a daily battle against poachers, while governments try to curb trafficking that stretches across international borders. The African elephant population has fallen from 1.3 million in 1979 to around 415,000 today. This drop of approximately 70% in recent decades is mainly attributed to illegal hunting to obtain ivory, which is widely sold on the black market, mainly to Asian countries. In 2016, it was estimated that around 30,000 elephants are killed each year by poachers, which translates to around 100 elephants per day. This is causing a critical decline in several populations, especially in regions such as Central and East Africa. But forest elephants, these in particular, suffered a 62% decline between 2002 and 2011 and remain at risk due to persistent demand for ivory. Regarding the rhinoceros, in 1970, there were around 70,000 rhinos in the world. Today, that number has fallen to less than 20,000, with the majority of the population concentrated in South Africa. However, the situation for black rhinos is even more serious for them, whose population has fallen by more than 97% since 1960, from approximately 100,000 to less than 5,500. The trafficking of its horns, used in traditional Asian medicine, especially in Vietnam and China, is the main cause of this decline. Its value on the black market can reach $60,000 per kilogram, making it more valuable than gold. This has encouraged increased poaching, with more than 1,000 rhinos killed each year over the past decade. Illegal hunting of these animals not only affects their populations, but also destabilizes entire ecosystems. Elephants play a crucial role in maintaining the habitats in which they live, and their local extinction could have cascading effects on other species and regional biodiversity.
Southeast Asia is one of the most biodiverse regions on the planet, home to lush rainforests, vast mountain ranges, and majestic rivers. With a rich culture and history deeply linked to nature, this region is home to iconic and rare species, such as tigers, elephants, and exotic birds. From misty mornings in the mountains to humid afternoons in tropical jungles, Southeast Asia boasts stunning natural beauty that supports not only wildlife, but also millions of people who depend on natural resources for their survival. But beneath this vibrant beauty lies a silent threat that has caused irreparable damage. The illegal exotic animal trade in Southeast Asia has become one of the biggest environmental and ethical crises of our time, are captured and sold in clandestine markets, often in deplorable conditions.
The illegal trade in exotic animals in Southeast Asia is one of the biggest threats to global biodiversity and involves a vast underground market that operates both locally and internationally. This practice is fueled by the demand for parts of rare animals for uses such as traditional medicine, trophies, luxury items, and even as pets. The trade in species such as tigers, pangolins, and exotic birds thrives on black markets, especially in China, Vietnam, Thailand, and Laos. I will present 3 species at risk. The first being the tiger. These cats are hunted mainly for their skins, bones, and other derivatives, which are used in traditional Asian medicine and as status symbols. Today, there are fewer than 4,000 tigers left in the wild, and illegal trade plays a central role in their decline. Considered the most trafficked mammal in the world, pangolins are sought after both for their scales, which are used in traditional medicine, and for their meat, which is considered a delicacy in some countries. It is estimated that around 1 million pangolins have been trafficked in the last decade. Exotic birds. These species of birds with vibrant plumages are captured to be sold as pets or displayed as status symbols. As a result, it causes various environmental and social impacts. Exotic animal trafficking drastically affects Southeast Asia's ecosystems, with the disappearance of key species that help maintain the natural balance. Without predators like tigers, for example, herbivore populations can grow out of control, which damages the vegetation and affects other species in the ecosystem. In addition, the illegal wildlife trade is often linked to organized crime, corruption, and violence, also harming rural communities that depend on biodiversity for their livelihoods. These communities are often forced to collaborate with traffickers due to a lack of economic opportunities. However, there are countermeasures such as governments and international organizations stepping up efforts to combat animal trafficking through stricter legislation, enforcement, and awareness campaigns. However, global demand remains a major challenge, as the profit from selling exotic animal parts can be extremely high. This trade not only threatens the survival of the species, but also undermines the ecological and economic stability of the region. It is crucial to raise awareness and implement more effective measures to combat this growing crisis.
As with the illegal trade in exotic animals on land, the ocean faces an equally devastating threat. Illegal, unregulated, and unreported, fishing is having a profound impact on marine ecosystems, contributing to the decline of species, the degradation of coral reefs, and the destabilization of coastal communities that depend on sustainable fishing. Predatory hunting of valuable marine species, such as sharks and endangered fish, creates a silent crisis in the depths of the oceans.
Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing is a global criminal activity that involves catching fish in violation of the fishing laws established by countries and international organizations. It is estimated that illegal fishing is responsible for catching between 11 and 26 million tons of fish a year, which represents approximately 20% of the world's catch. The environmental impact of illegal fishing is the decline of species, as it directly affects vulnerable marine species such as tuna, cod, and sharks. Sharks are particularly targeted for their fins, which are used in shark fin soup, a highly prized delicacy in some cultures. The decline of top predators such as sharks unbalances the entire marine ecosystem. Destruction of habitats, illegal practices such as trawling, destroy coral reefs and marine habitats that serve as breeding grounds for countless species. Coral reefs, in particular, are critical to the health of the oceans, as they are home to around 25% of marine biodiversity. There are obviously socio-economic impacts as coastal communities are at risk, because illegal fishing severely damages coastal communities that depend on sustainable fishing for subsistence. When species are overfished, these local populations lose their main source of food and income, and the loss of government revenue. Many coastal countries, especially the poorest ones, lose billions of dollars every year due to illegal fishing. This money could be invested in conservation and enforcement programs, but is diverted to criminal networks that control IUU fishing. Measures to combat illegal fishing are international organizations, such as the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and coalitions of coastal countries are taking strict measures to tackle illegal fishing. This includes the creation of marine protected zones, surveillance with drone and satellite technology, as well as greater cooperation between governments to monitor vessels involved in illegal activities. Illegal fishing not only puts marine biodiversity at risk, it also exacerbates the climate crisis and threatens the livelihoods of millions of people around the world. It is essential that sustainable fishing practices are strengthened and enforcement improved to protect the oceans and their precious species.
In indigenous, fishing, and rural communities, where wildlife is essential for survival, animal trafficking has devastated both the environment and the livelihoods of these populations. Dependent on natural resources for food and income, these areas face a cycle of extreme poverty, exacerbated by the depletion of ecosystems. These communities live in remote regions, often far from the reach of government aid, and are at the mercy of criminal networks that exploit wildlife for the black market. Young people are lured by promises of quick cash and end up involved in capturing and selling animals, exploiting local resources, and leaving forests and oceans empty. While the illegal trade thrives globally, the most vulnerable communities suffer from scarcity and increasingly difficult living conditions.
I was born and raised here, on this land that for generations supported my family and my entire community. The forest and animals have always been our source of food, resources, and most importantly, life. But in recent years, we have seen our land and wildlife being devastated by animal trafficking. Illegal hunting has pushed us to a critical point, What was once a subsistence practice, hunting only what we needed to feed our families, has now turned into something dark. Young people in my community who previously learned to respect nature are being lured by traffickers with promises of easy money. And who can blame them? Poverty here is extreme, and everyday options become more limited. We have no infrastructure, we have no government support, and we are at the mercy of criminals who destroy our own homes. The most painful thing is to see the forest, which was once vibrant and full of life, silent. Elephants, rhinos, and even birds, which were part of our daily lives, are disappearing.